Dragon Ball is an anime that is popular worldwide and is still going strong today. Millions of fans tune in to catch the next episode of the latest saga in the franchise, Dragon Ball Super. And as these fans became hungrier for more content, Dragon Ball decided to give them a movie that followed the latest events of Super called Dragon Ball Super Broly. I had a chance to go see this movie with my dad this past January, although I never got around to reviewing it. But now I want to take this chance to talk about what I thought worked and what didn't. Even though I am acquainted with the Dragon Ball plotline, I had not been following the Super anime, and so that may have affected my viewing experience. But anyway, let's get into the review. As expected, Dragon Ball Super Broly follows the legendary Super Saiyan Broly. The story starts out on planet Vegeta in the past, where characters like Goku and Vegeta are only babies. Broly is incubating in the palace when King Vegeta is told by some royal advisors that this Saiyan's power level will excel Vegeta's. Afraid that Broly will surpass his son, King Vegeta orders Broly to be sent away to a deserted island with an almost unlivable habitat. Broly's dad Paragus is upset with this and tries to reason with King Vegeta, but he obviously doesn't listen. To try and save his son, Paragus steals a spaceship and flies to the planet, only to find his son already exhibiting his massive strength by killing one of the planet's giant worm creatures for food. All while this is going on, the same plot that Dragon Ball fans know plays out on planet Vegeta. Frieza blows them up in fear of the legendary Super Saiyan, but Bardock is able to send Goku to Earth in an escape pod, and Vegeta is fighting on another planet during the attack. We get a little training montage to show the Saiyans growing up, and then we come to present day. Goku and Vegeta are fighting because what else would they be doing? While Bulma, Beerus, and Whis catch the audience up on the events of Super. The supreme rulers of the world, the two Grandmaster Zenoses? Zenai? I don't know, are hosting a tournament of power. Only thing is, if your universe loses, it gets wiped from existence. So Goku and Vegeta began assembling a team when one of their members, Majin Buu, fell asleep and wouldn't wake up. So Goku resorts to resurrecting Frieza to fight with them. I know that sentence probably doesn't make any sense, but we'll talk about that later. Bulma then gets a call from Trunks and Goten, who I guess got left out of the island vacation, and the boys tell her that the Dragon Balls they collected have been stolen. Turns out that when Frieza was revived, he ended up going back to doing evil things. Who would have thought? Anyway, Frieza and his workers are going after the last Dragon Ball, so Bulma, Whis, Vegeta, and Goku hop in a ship to go stop them, while Beerus opts to stay on the island to relax, though he gets stuck babysitting Bulma. As the gang is flying, Goku asks Bulma why she wants the Dragon Balls in the first place, and she reluctantly admits that she wants to use them to look 5 years younger. Specifically 5 years so that it's noticeable enough that people will compliment her, but not so much that it looks fake. At the same time, Frieza tells his servant he wants to use the Dragon Balls to be 5 centimeters taller, so that he can make an impression on people, but not overdo it. So the plot isn't exactly the most suspenseful, but it's not to say that these motivations didn't make me laugh. We then meet two new workers in the Frieza Force, Chi-Lai and Limo. These two end up finding Broly and his father, and hoping that Frieza will be pleased with them, they bring the Saiyans back to Frieza. Impressed with Broly's strength, Frieza recruits him. Broly and his dad hang out on the spaceship with Chi-Lai and Limo, and we first get to see how Paragus is kind of a jerk. He shocks Broly whenever he begins to lash out or lose control, and he forced Broly to train constantly when they were on the desert planet. Also, he killed his dog, which is a weird thing to include, but it's just kinda sad. Chi-Lai suspects a bad relationship between Broly and Paragus and begins to sympathize with Broly, which will be important later. Goku and his friends arrive at the Arctic location, where the last Dragon Ball lies, and they confront the Frieza Force. Paragus orders Broly to attack Vegeta as revenge for what his father did to Paragus years ago. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of explosions, and a lot of screaming, but in the end, it seems like Broly is losing. Not for long though, because Frieza uses his knowledge of how Goku fought harder to avenge Krillin's death, and decides to kill Broly's dad to evoke the same rage that comes from seeing a loved one die. Though Frieza passes the whole thing off as Paragus getting accidentally hit by an energy bolt to keep Broly from attacking him. This makes Broly go berserk, and he destroys Goku and Vegeta, who are forced to retreat to Piccolo by causing Broly to target Frieza and using this opportunity to instant transmission. Knowing they can't defeat him on their own, Goku and Vegeta reluctantly try to fuse, though it takes them an hour to do so. They teleport back in their Gogeta form to defeat Broly, who is killed in battle. In an effort to save their friend, Cheelai and Lemo go rogue and use the Dragon Balls to revive Broly. They escape to the desert planet Broly grew up on to avoid being killed by Frieza. Frieza says some villain stuff and then retreats. Later, Goku visits Cheelai and Lemo, who at first fear that he's going to kill them, but he ends up giving them supplies so that Broly can keep getting stronger and hopefully challenge Goku again one day. The Dragon Balls are scattered about the universe again, the Tournament of Power continues, and it's all a happy ending. So, the first part of the story is pretty good. It may not be as exciting to Dragon Ball fans because they already know the story of Planet Vegeta, but for me, it was pretty interesting. We got to learn about the 3 Saiyans that survived Frieza's attack and how they're connected in a way. The plot about fighting the Dragon Balls was also interesting, until the second half. The fighting was cool to watch for a while, but soon it just got kind of old, and it became less of a story and more of a wrestling match. The power levels that Goku, Vegeta, and Broly would achieve felt kind of random and unearned as a result. I mean, yeah, each of them still faced struggles in the battle, like getting pounded into the ground, but personally, the only time I felt that a power-up was earned was when Vegeta and Goku became stronger as Gogeta, because to do so, they had to put aside their differences and work together, even if it was in a comedic way. This is more so a fundamental problem in Dragon Ball, where Goku can suddenly unlock a new Super Saiyan level if he needs to beat a villain. Basically, my point is that a lot of times in Dragon Ball, the new strength characters obtain isn't earned. It just kind of happens, or they get it because they did a lot of supposed training that the audience doesn't get to see. This makes the middle of the movie feel a little boring and impersonal, but still, the first half and the end of the story are exciting to watch and had an interesting plot. There's a pretty big cast in Dragon Ball Super Broly, but the main focus is obviously on the 3 Super Saiyans Goku, Vegeta, and Broly. Goku doesn't really change much in this movie and just wants to battle people to see how strong he can get, though it was pretty dumb of him to choose Frieza as Majin Buu's replacement in the Tournament of Power. I know it was because Goku really just wanted to have a rematch against Frieza, but he can't be oblivious to the fact that Frieza will probably try to conquer all of the planets again when he's revived. Vegeta is also pretty much the same in this movie. While his anger can be irrational sometimes, at least his frustration with Goku for bringing Frieza back into the world feels earned. Now, because they're the focus of the film, I have to say more about Broly and Paragus. At first, it seemed like Paragus was a caring father to Broly. He risked his life by going to live on a desert planet so that he could protect his son. But there's more depth to their relationship, and you soon find out that Paragus only wanted to make Broly stronger so he could have revenge on the Saiyans and King Vegeta. This was a pretty interesting change in their dynamic, and it makes the audience sympathize somewhat with Broly, even when he's destroying our heroes. It also made the situation funnier when Frieza kills Paragus because he felt like he was getting what he deserved. Most of the other characters in the movie are again the same as they are in the anime, so instead I'll touch on the new characters, Cheelai and Lemo. These two start out as being kiss-ups to Frieza, who are only really concerned about themselves, but they finish the movie by being more selfless and protecting Broly from being used as a human weapon. Cheelai and Lemo are given enough time with Broly for me to genuinely believe they could form a friendship with him. And while Cheelai is the more emotional one who acts on a whim, which causes the pair's change in heart, it's not to say that Lemo doesn't become more caring himself. On the subject of jokes, there were a lot of funny exchanges between Goku and Vegeta, Whis and Beerus, and Frieza and the Frieza Force that can make the most casual and diehard fans laugh, though some people may not be as clued into the references as others, and a couple of them left me a little confused. Overall, the characters in this movie are really fun and memorable, even if some of them objectively did more for the story than others. Akira Toriyama, the artist who does the character designs for Dragon Ball, has a very distinct art style that you can easily recognize in Dragon Ball and his other works. The animation of Dragon Ball has always evolved with advancements in art creation software, while still keeping parts of the look it had in the 90s. And this really works to please the new generation and people like me that are starting to watch the show, and the old generation who had that nostalgia of watching the original Dragon Ball when they were a kid. Dragon Ball is famous for their long and action-packed battles. So how does the fighting animation hold up in Broly? Personally, I felt like at a certain point it became a bit too much of a spectacle. At the start of the battle, Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are mainly throwing punches and kicks at each other while flying through the air. The fantastical ability to fly adds an excitement to the fight, but the real-world combat of punching and kicking still allows you to feel the impact of the attacks and see the tension in the duel. But soon it's been 20 minutes of fighting, and now Broly is tearing apart the entire Arctic island until it's nothing but a volcanic landscape. And soon the attacks start are nothing but gigantic energy beams and explosions. These are cool to watch at first, but for me, it started to get too hectic and hyper, and I couldn't tell what was going on. My favorite part about this though is that you have to remember Bulma was on the island with them the whole time, so I guess since she's able to withstand all of these super powered explosions, Bulma is actually the strongest character in Dragon Ball confirmed? To wrap things up, the general animation was good overall, and the fight scenes were exciting to watch, as long as they didn't get too flashy. Dragon Ball Super Broly is objectively a great movie and provides an entertaining experience, but I feel like to enjoy it, you have to be a pretty invested Dragon Ball fan or already be into anime in general. I always remember this one couple who sat in front of us at the theater who I think represented this perfectly. So the movie ends and the guy turns to his wife and says, "So, are you a Dragon Ball fan now?" And she goes, "Yeah, sure," and walks out of the theater while her husband stays to admire the credits sequence. DBS Broly has a quirky sense of humor and a pretty weird sci-fi storyline, so you kind of need to be a part of that niche to enjoy it. But I'm pretty sure everyone understood when this movie came out in theaters that it was mainly Dragon Ball fan service. It was just made so that the nerds could all gather together and enjoy their favorite franchise with their fellow weebs. And if you want to get someone into the Dragon Ball franchise, taking them to the theater to see Broly wouldn't be a bad place to start. Thanks for watching my review. If you enjoyed this, please like the video and check out my channel for more Dragon Ball content. I'll see you all next time. Bye!